Breaking news. Larry Hoover has been released from ADX Supermax per Donald Trump. Round of applause to Donald Trump. Round of applause. All right, round of applause. Okay, relax. He done let a lot of my brothers home that was in prison for life without chance of parole. I have two of them here that want to personally wish Larry Hoover, welcome home. But before we begin, let's get the music, man. All right, you know what it is. Unique Mac Audio, man. Larry Hoover has been released from federal prison. If you don't know who Larry Hoover is, I'm going to give you a short synopsis. And I got Akbar Prey here. I got Jojo Capone. And I got Notulus, a.k.a. Not. He's going to tell you who he is. These is all official brothers. And I just want to say that, man, law is good, Big Dirk, he's home, Little Dirk going through it, but that's why we got to come together and push forward. And but now let me tell you a little something about Larry. Larry Hoover is 73 and from Jackson, Mississippi, is a former gangster and the founder of the Chicago street gang Gangster Disciples. In 1973, Hoover allegedly ordered a murder and was sentenced to 150 to 200 years in Illinois State Prison. A federal investigation later led to his conviction for running a continual criminal enterprise, aka a CCE. I was charged with a CCE. A CCE is saying that you continue to run a drug enterprise. That's a violation of Title 21. It's kissing cousins to the RICO that they're using on all the rappers now. Young Thug, Diddy, Lil Durk, they all kissing cousins. With the RICO, you got to have 2 predicates. The CCE, you got to have 3 predicates. And with the RICO, it got to be carried more than a year and a day. And with the CCE, it has to be a drug charge, and that's the way that works. Now, where Hoover is at. Hoover was imprisoned in ADX in Florence, Colorado, locked up for murder, conspiracy, extortion, continuing to engage in a criminal enterprise. His criminal penalty was 6 life sentences from the beginning, his upbringing. Hoover was born on November 30th, 1950 in Jackson, Mississippi. He moved to Chicago, Illinois at the age of 4. At the age of 13, Hoover dropped out of junior high and joined a gang called the Supreme Gangsters when he was involved in petty theft and muggings. In 1968, Hoover was romantically involved with Wendell Jenkins, with whom he shares one of his 3 children. They were denied marriage by the Illinois Department of Corrections until January 9th, 2020. She stuck with it. That's true love. Round of applause to her. Round of applause to her. All right, relax, y'all. Relax. Let me finish this. Right. So now Hoover was formerly associated with the GDs, with the GDN lieutenant, Marion Taylor. He also was involved himself in fighting cold cases about murders that are only now coming to light. Also tied to the organization. Of course, they had to throw one of those in there. So forgive me for putting it there, but I had to let it know what it is. Now, the criminal history, 1973, William Young was murdered. On the evening of February 26, 1973, William Pookie Young, a 19-year-old neighborhood drug dealer, was abducted and later shot dead in the alley near 68th Street and Union Avenue in Inglewood, a neighborhood on the south side of Chicago. His killing was ordered by Hoover allegedly after his name was mentioned as one of the 3 people accused of stealing drugs and money from the gang 6 days earlier. Andrew Howard was arrested on March 16, 1973, while Hoover went in hiding in Chicago. On September 21st, 1973, Hoover was driving a stolen truck and was asked to stop for a traffic violation. He tried to run away from the scene but was arrested. The police also discovered that he was also wanted by William Young's in William Young's murder. Now, in October 1973, Howard and Hoover were both indicted for the murder, and in December, both were sentenced to life in prison and 200 years in prison in the state. However, Hoover was sent to Statesville Correctional Center in Crest Hill, Illinois, to serve out his term. 1997 is where the criminal enterprise came in from what they said Hoover did while he was in the prison. So the enterprise didn't come from the street. This was a separate charge, and that's why it's a federal charge. And right now, President Trump, the honorable President Trump, that pardoned me and a few of my good brothers, and hopefully he'll get the rest of them. But, in 1997, he was sent to ADX, and that's what he was pardoned for, but he's still waiting sentencing on some charges that they held in the back just for situations like this. In case he would have won his appeal, then they bring this up. So now, even though he's free, he got to go to Illinois and deal with the Illinois situation. So he's not all the way out yet. The fight still continues. Now, while in prison for murder, on August 22nd, 1995, after a 7-year undercover joint investigation by the Illinois Department of Corrections, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive. However, Hoover was indicted for conspiracy, extortion, money laundering, drug-related offenses, and continual criminal enterprise while in prison. That's what he just got pardoned for. See, I can't give it to you no more clear than that. Now, a lengthy federal investigation using wiretaps led to Hoover getting arrested. Prosecutors alleged that his gang had 30,000 soldiers in 35 states and made $100 million a year. He was arrested at the Dixon Correctional Center by federal agents and moved to the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown Chicago to stand trial. In 1997, Hoover was found guilty of all charges. He was sentenced to 3 additional life terms in federal prison. Hoover is currently serving his sentence in ADX Supermax until today, when the Honorable President Trump pardoned Larry Hoover. Attempts to appeal. In 2021, Hoover, having hired Bill Cosby's former attorney, Jennifer Bongine, tried to appeal his sentence under the First Step Act, but was denied by the U.S. District Judge, Harry Linweber. Now, gang and its impact. Now, this is what they're trying to go on right here. Now, in 1969, Hoover and David Barksdale called a truce and decided to combine both of their respective rival gangs, Supreme Gangsters and Black Disciples, together to become the Black Gangster Disciples Nation, BGDN. Now, the death of David Barksdale and Disciples takeover. In 1974, after the leader of the Black Disciples, David Barksdale, died of kidney failure stemming from injuries incurred in a 1970 assassination attempt, however, took over the reins of the Black Gangster Disciple Nation. He deemed himself as a chairman of the crew. At the time, the Disciples had control of Chicago's South Side turf. Under Hoover's rule, the Black Gangster Disciple Nation took over a majority of the Chicago drug trade, allegedly. Now, while incarcerated in 1978, Hoover formed the Folk Nation, which added all gangs in his personal likeness and interest to rate to the BGDN, such as the Lady Satan, what's this, Magnet Latin, Madden Latin. Y'all correct me in the comments. I know I got rap bastards out there. Y'all handle that. Let's keep it moving. You know what I mean? Spanish Gangster Disciples, Ambrose, the two Boys, 2 Sixers, Simon City Royals, Northside Insane Popes, La Raza Nation, Spanish Cobras, Imperial Gangsters, Harrison Gents, and the Latin Eagles. The Folk Nation maintained their ground from within prison property to drug turf streets and the streets. While Hoover was incarcerated, he ran the gang's illicit drug trade, allegedly, both in prison and on the streets, starting from Chicago's West Side and later extending throughout the United States. Similarly, certain parts of the affiliated folk nations began to expand to parts of the United States, including the Midwest, or which Chicago is in. As of 2022, the Gangster Disciples has confirmed expansions to Indianapolis, Kansas City, Minneapolis, Detroit, Milwaukee, Birmingham, Cincinnati, Memphis, and Hoover is the birthplace of Jackson. The Folk Nation included that of the Black Gangster Disciple Nation, also personified a rivalry with the People's Nation, which included other gangs such as the mighty Black P Stone Nation, run by Jeff Ford, who today shares the same prison facility as Hoover and is also a Mississippi-born native. Almighty Vice Lord Nation, Latin Kings, McKay Cobras, Southside Almighty, Insane Popes. The Southside fraction were rivals with the Simon City Royals, Satan Disciples, and 2 Sixes, causing them to splinter themselves from the North Side fraction, Almighty Saints, and the Four Corner Hustlers. The Gangster Disciples also engaged allegedly in a city rivalry with South Memphis crew, the love murdering gangsters, formerly LMG Mafia, right? So then we got disputes with the Black Disciples, right? Yeah, we're almost done, so we're gonna finish this. Disputes with the Black Disciples, all right? So dispute with the Black Disciples. Okay, in 1989, the Black Gangster Disciples began having leadership problems as they noticed Hoover's leadership of the Folk Nation Alliance deteriorated once he shifted his sole focus towards the now splintered Gangster Disciples. Allegedly, the decline of the BGDN leadership infuriated a majority of its members and resulted the two gangs separating into the Four Nation Gangster Disciples and the reincarnated Black Disciples. One instance of this split and later almost whatever, we good. But now I'm going to bring up Jojo Capone so he could correct anything that I may have said wrong. That's why I have Jojo here. Jojo, come to the mic, Jojo all over the place, but we're going to get him there. But, that's where we at. So right now, I'm going to bring up Michael Knott Palmer, and he wants to say welcome home to Larry Hoover. Sit still in the mic, Knott.
Larry. Yeah. Greetings, Larry. The last time we met was 29 years ago. Terry Hutt. I was a young man, just got convicted, super kingpin charge of first in Washington, D.C. before Rayford Sedman. Like I was explaining you through the doors, we were in the Cuban unit. On your way to ADX, they took you through there. I just got a stabbing and I was in there. And I was asking you, what's the difference between folks and people? Because to me, it meant the same. And you was trying to explain, but we couldn't. There was a lot of noise. I want to thank you. Thank you very much for those words of wisdom. I also want to let you know that congratulations, and it's time well overspent. One thing about God is that he'll use whoever is in power, no matter how people seem. I thank Trump very much too, because if it wasn't for Trump making the First Step Act retroactive, the statute, I wouldn't be here myself. And right now, like I said, it has humbled me. Society has changed tremendously. I'm a father of 4, and I'm a grandfather of 10. And that's the beautiful thing, man. You're coming home at a good time. You look good. You're still healthy. You got a good support team. Just enjoy your grandkids, brother. And with that, I'm going to end that like I always do. One love.
All right. So that was Michael Not Palmer. So now we got Akbar Pray. You know. All right. Akbar, let's go, baby.
My brother,
Tell them who you want
listen,
to pull off the screen.
peace.
You have the screen to yourself. All right, family?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
I can hear you. What you just said.
I just said I'm going to pull off the screen. We need to see your face. Pick up the camera.
All
Let's
right.
be professional. And let's go get a boss. You taught me. You're our big homie. Let's go. We don't want to bore the people. Let's go. You got a
All right.
powerful message. We want to hear it. I'm getting off the screen because your message is
All
so
right.
powerful.
I got you.
Let me not get off, and you introduce yourself and tell them you're welcome homes, and let's keep this moving.
Okay. All right. Hey, peace, my brother. Peace, Larry. And welcome home, my brother. You're coming off at home at an auspicious time. My name is Akbar Pray. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. You're coming home at an auspicious time, brother. There's a leadership vacuum in the Black and brown communities. I know that you can fill more than your role out in the Midwest where you're at and make a difference. We're in a position, Larry, where we don't no longer have to try and make a statement. We have to make a difference. Everything I've heard about you suggests that you will do as much. Again, it's always been about community, in my view, with what you were doing in some regards. So you have an opportunity to change the community. In the past, I'm sure that people said that you showed examples of power. Now you have an opportunity to show the power of example. You know, both of us are no longer part of the problem. We're part of the solution. I look forward to at some point working in collaboration to try and change the trajectory, the life trajectory of some of our inner city at-risk youth. That's what I'm doing in Newark, New Jersey, working with my mayor, Ross Baraka, who is currently running for governor, who I'm giving my full support to. So again, welcome home. Uh, Stay safe, be well, and know that every day while you're out here, every day is a celebration, homie, and every meal is a feast, man. Stay up, stay safe. I'm Akbar Pray. I'm out.
All right. So hold up. Let's bring JoJo up here. And Nautilus. Okay. So JoJo, tell him who you are. You give your. Oh, first of all, if it's anything, give him his shout out. And if I read anything wrong from my research, I would like you to correct me. All right.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a great feeling, and man, dreams do come true for many of us. The government deemed him all those things you was reading. We disagree with them things, but we just happy overall that he home. So welcome home, the old man as we call him. We love you, and this moment is overwhelming, man. But thanks to everybody that helped with the process. Of course, Donald Trump, Alice Johnson, Justin, the lawyer, other attorney, the family, and all of us that's been waiting on his return.
Yes, yes. Now, let me bring the other brothers back up here. Now, just so you understand, I wanted to read something about them because we've been locked up so long, and we talking about decades, and we're talking about 4 and 5 decades that the youth don't even know, who we are and what we did. So they see how powerful we became when we became the men that we are now, like what Akbar is doing and like what I'm doing, talking to the youth on YouTube. This all to better our people, but I want y'all to hear the history of what went on as far as what he was accused of, so they get some type of enlightenment. And that's why JoJo's here. So anything that he wants to correct, he correct. And that's why I said allegedly, but I just wanted the people to know. So now, Brother Akbar,
Yes.
I went to your party the other day. I'm going to edit your video for this weekend. You brought all the good men together. Everything you're doing is powerful and is definitely, you've been enlightening me before we even met, you know, because you've been writing for Don D. Those articles, and I met brothers that was in different jails with you, and everybody spoke highly with you, just like this brother right here. You know, turn the phone now, you know, so that's where we at. You want to say something to Brother Akbar or Brother Jojo? Not.
Huh? I can't hear you.
I said, would you like to say something to Brother Akbar or Brother Jojo?
Oh yeah, I introduced myself to Brother Jojo. I didn't know who he was. Akbar, I know very well.
Back up on the phone, man. We looking all in your mouth. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
I know Akbar from Lewisburg. We met in Lewisburg, and it was a time when DC just sentenced me to the 2 life and 20 years for the 848 in New York. Just indicted me again with a money laundering. So I was in transit, and the first time I met Akbar, it was his wisdom that stopped me from getting an entanglement with another individual. And it wasn't until later on that I realized the power of strength and what a general is really. A general is one that uses his wits, and that's what he did. The other brother, I just introduced myself to him. He's from Chi-Town. And I want to wish you, again, I want to give you my salute, brother. We never crossed paths in the pen, but just the fact that you're here, you're a man of substance. And I salute you for that. And you're from Chi-Town, the Windy City. I got a lot of friends in there, both on both sides, the BDs, GDs, and so youngsters that I used to talk to when I was in the penitentiaries. And other than that, fellas, I support what Akbar's doing. He's trying to bring, I'm a Garveyite. I'm a British Jamaican, and we're about our community. And Marcus Garvey said, in order for us as a race, as a whole, to come together, we have to come together. We have to have our own hospitals, our own schools, our own banks, our own foodery, you know, and our own teachers. And that is what slowly, I believe, is slowly happening. I say, excuse me, I have a call. I say that every generation rewrites itself. The generations today, they're knowledgeable, they're smart, they're intelligent, but they lack wisdom. The wisdom is what we, the elders, supposed to direct them. But we have some elders, as we know, that is on some buffoonery. They're worse than the youngsters. And that's why, to me, I believe there's a void between the young and the old. I can only use from my experience what I did, when I spoke to the gang members inside the penitentiaries. I used to talk to them, listen to them, and they asked me, how do I do it? How can I move around by myself? Or how can they get out their situation? One thing prison taught me, it humbled me, and it made me deal with people on an individual basis. And when I did that, I realized that although we're all put in one spot, we're all from different walks of life. When you hear another man's story, you understand why he do what he do. And it's a humbling experience, especially when the youngsters want to change. And I salute both of you gentlemen there, because I know, and Unique, because I know our main goal is to try to use our life and to deter the youngsters from taking a life. And with that said, fellas, I salute all y'all. I have a terrible, it seems like I'm getting laryngitis. So with that, I'm going to end gracefully while I still have a little voice left. And peace and blessings. And again, congratulations, Larry. You're well deserving.
Welcome home, Larry Hoover. All right, round of applause to Larry Hoover. Round of applause to Larry Hoover. All right. Hey, Akbar, would you like to share how you have worked with the youth as far as, you know, the gangbangers? You know, you've gotten to situations where you had to stop something real serious. I want them to know the power that we had from on the inside, and the administration noticed that. That's why they put us out here, so that we could do what we're doing now. And we're trying to come together and stick together whatever way we can. And that's why we got multiple different states up here, you know, because we work together. We got Jojo Capone, always been there. He came to New York, hung out with me, and he already know the red carpet here. I take him to see all the other gangsters, and it's all love. Whoever don't like it, you know what I mean? Jojo, my brother, you know, and that's what it is. Now, Larry, because Jojo hears some about how we help the youth, because he got a good foundation too. He travels the world. He's trying to fill up his passport. I'm gonna let him tell you all about that. I found that was crazy interesting. But give him one of the stories or something how you have changed the cycle from the inside with the generation came under you.
Are you talking to who you talking to?
Oh, your mic messed up.
Yeah.
Nah, hey, come out and come in. I'm gonna let JoJo talk. Come out and come back in. Cause your mic messed up. All right. Hey, JoJo,
Yeah.
tell me about your passport joint and what you're doing and what you have donated and about your different foundations. Talk to them about who you are.
Well, basically, kid born in Chicago, raised in Puerto Rico, New York, LA, and Miami. Lived my life some years in Atlanta, New Orleans. So I was banked around a lot as a youth. And coming from the ghetto, I just always wanted more. I wanted to see more, do more. Like I said earlier, I don't like the fact that our brotherhoods, like the Black Panthers on down, any foundations that we had from elders in the community to spread their knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to us was deemed as gangs or organized crimes by the government. But us as the people, we see it different. We see that this uncle and these aunties feeding us if our parents was deceased or if our parents was incarcerated or if our parents just didn't have it. So the misconception of just throwing gangs on every group, it's just distasteful to me. And it always been that way because I knew the truth and I knew what the brotherhoods done for a lot of us, whether it been GDs or Vice Lords or El Rukins, Black Peace Stones. It was, you can loop them in the same group as you would have did the Panthers. The government just didn't want that to be the bright side of it. But it's a lot of public information today to where you can see the books and the literatures on these organizations, and you will see that what it was speaking of, protecting your neighborhood, protecting your people, because at these times of them brothers starting these groups, they was dealing with Jim Crow laws and racism, so every other ethnicity had a group, but they didn't want to call them criminal gangs. They would just speak on them as if it was normal. And then only thing you would hear of is like, okay, the Italian mafia, the Irish mafia, and they left it at that. But for us, when it's black, they automatically said, oh, they criminals, they here to kill, deal drugs. But if you think none of us had owned no planes, none of us owned no boats to bring no drugs over here, that's something that the government of this country would have had to deal with, and as we seen down the line, they the ones that was bringing it over here, and using the CIA to fund it, what I'm saying, to our communities, which had our culture and our group of people in shambles the way that it did. They planted drugs, they forced the drugs on us, they dismantled the families. The projects was for the Navy and Army, the Army veterans and all that, to come to when they get out of the Army. That was a place for them to go with their families. And then they just turned that into impoverished neighborhoods and areas for our culture, when they was gentrifying back then. The gentrification always been going on. So in a lot of cities, or I'll speak on for Chicago, we didn't see white people unless it was the police, or a phone company or something like that. But we didn't, so they kept us segregated. And I think still to this day, the state of Illinois is the most segregated state in the country. So we still deal with it right now to this day. So when you have guys like Jeff Fort, Larry Hoover, um, Vice Lord members, that came through, Mickey Cardwell, the MCs, and all of them had their groups of people trying to help the youth at the same time. The same thing that Akbar saying he's doing now, the same thing you doing, Unique, same thing I do. It's just a cycle repeating itself all over again. We distance ourselves from any negativity, so that way they don't do the same thing that they done to the brothers before us. Soon as we try to help our community and culture, they gonna put that jacket on us, so we got to learn how to stray away from that part. And if you can't have 1 foot in the street and 1 foot out, because that's what allows them to keep saying we just using everything as a front, because that's what they love to do. Oh, that's a front. He's not really trying to help the community. He using that for drugs. He using this for this and that. And then they still playing they same games with planting this stuff on people. They send us through hell and high water to try to get grants and things that we need to, they stripped everything from us. So by us not even have the finance that we need, they feel like we're going to resort back to the streets or to some criminal enterprise to try to get money to do right for our people, when it shouldn't have to be that way when we got these resources here for us to do. So that's why I tell the youth all the time, you can live the same way that you think this person is doing wrong to get their money. You can live that same way without doing nothing wrong. And I giving them examples. You just got to have discipline. You save your checks for three to 4 years. You can buy whatever car you want. You fix your credit. You can get the house you want. So even though the Congress and them was just passing certain laws that they wasn't giving us the same loans, or they was giving higher interest rates on the properties that we was trying to get just by our last names. So it was a lot of racism plaguing the property and trying to buy homes and whatever you needed a loan for. It was racism within that, to where they didn't give it to us. Or if we tried to sell a home, they depreciate the value, so people was having to send a white couple that they was cool with into the home to get the rightful money that they was asking for, and then break them off and get them a piece. But that's this backdoor stuff that was going on, just even in the real estate business. So we never can get over the hump of the racism that plagues in America. So we got to do everything that we can, think smarter, work harder, to get where we want to go. But for the most part, I would love to say, publicly, that what Larry set forth for us, Jeff Ford set for us, and others that I mentioned set for us. It was the teaching us about school, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Don't do drugs. Like it's public record on the laws and policies that was set forth by us, in our culture. And it wasn't nothing to do with harming nobody. You know what I'm saying? Hurting nobody. It was love, life, and loyalty, but they don't speak on those type of things. But I want y'all to do the research on your own, so it don't seem like I'm just taking up for my city or speaking good on my city, and y'all hearing about what's going on in my city as of today. But it's no difference. It's just magnified with these cameras all over the place. But it's the same thing. These youth are on these prescription drugs and this alcohol that's on every corner. So I saluted the pastors that was getting a lot of these liquor stores shut down on every corner. We didn't need them. So anything that was harmful to us, do away with it in our neighborhoods, and you can see our people thrive. So that's where I'm at today. Stay away from all the negativity and just push the positivity. Once again, much love to Larry Hoover, much love to the family. We always been impatiently waiting for this day. So he's finally home. Hopefully he can come home, finally touch and hug the family, see the grandchildren, get some fresh air, go on some of these islands, enjoy the weather, man, in the rest of his days, live it comfortably and peacefully. So with that, salute to you, Unique. I hope the brother not health get better, and much love to Akbar. Keep doing what you're doing. And my guys that's in Newark, I stay in tune with them, so I know they pushing the same movement and trying to help keep the streets clean as well.
Okay, Akbar had to step away. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Akbar, you there? You
Yeah,
want
I'm
to
right
say,
here.
all right, come in the camera, family.
All right.
Yeah, so you want to tell them about your foundation if you didn't already? I don't even remember because you was off the screen. You got
Well,
something you want to say so we could get off and give you the floor?
okay. Yeah.
All right.
So
I've been
peace,
home
y'all.
about.
By Akbar, take the stage. Peace, salute.
All right.
All right.
Peace,
Peace.
black man.
Thank you, Jojo. All right.
I was sentenced to life sentence, life without parole.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We're listening.
Without parole plus 50 years. I did 36 and a half years. I've been home little under 8 months. I said when I left that I was going to hit the ground running, and that's what I fully intended to do. I came out here messianic. I had a mission. One of them was to
Akbar,
help the
your hand is
brothers.
over the camera. Your hand is over the
I,
camera.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there
I
you go.
came out with a mission, one of which was to help some of the brothers that I had left behind. I said I was not coming home to pop bottles or make it rain at clubs, but to try and make a difference. There are good men in these federal and state penitentiaries that are going to die in jail if some of us that are released don't try to do something to make a real difference. We have to reach back. We have to continue to reach back to try and change the system that we had been a part of and a victim of. While I was in FCI Butner, I met a lot of young brothers that were on gang time. They were online. Some from the Midwest, some from the South, and a lot of them from up top where I'm at. I had a young brother who was like my son. His name is Legs. He's from out of Chicago. You might know him, Capone. I think it was a hobo or something like that. But anyhow, I got a chance to talk with a lot of the brothers, and at some point, I had all the gang members meet me on the yard. And I said, listen, what's obvious is that you got power. But in my view, you have negative power. You're part of the problem. I want you to become part of the solution. So I said, what we're going to do, I asked the question, I said, how many of you in here know Kobe stats? Virtually every hand went up. I said, how many of you in here know what a trade line is? Not one hand went up. I said, how many of you know your credit score? Not one hand went up. I said, homies, there's a problem and there's something wrong with this picture. And we've got to try and change the problem. We got to try and change the trajectory that we're on. And when we hit the streets to go out there and make a real difference in our communities, not not simply to just stop the violence, but also to empower the community. So reaching back to some of our old history in some regards, but sometimes everything that old becomes new, is that we had to reach back as a nation, as a people, and start to try and make a difference, not as individuals. They say if you want to go fast, you go alone, you know, but if you want to go far, you go with others. So my instance, what I intended to do was collaboration. So I reached out to some of the gang brothers when I got out. And in Jersey, the gang situation is different. They're no longer beefing about colors. They're doing collaboration.
He was getting deep. Hold up. Hopefully he come back in because that's where he at. Now turn the light on in your room. Now it got dark. Yo, but I want to welcome home Larry Hoover again. That's what this is about. That Honorable Donald Trump has exercised his executive powers and released one of the brothers. And round of applause to Donald Trump. Round of applause to Donald Trump. All right. Let's bring Akbar back up here so he can finish what he was saying. Go ahead, Akbar. Finish.
I said, in Newark, the gangs are no longer beefing about colors. They're collaborating. It's about collaboration, not confrontation. So what we did is I wanted to do something in the youth house. In the youth house in Newark, 80% of the young brothers in there the little young brothers are in there on homicides, murders, or attempted murders. Even if they're not the actual shooters, they're waving them up and trying them as adults. We wanted to find an intersectionality between ourselves and the criminal justice system. So we started bringing in what they call credible messages, brothers that had street creds that could come in there and talk with them and help them navigate what was confronting them, and also teaching them emotional intelligence and conflict resolution. I got sponsored in many regards by our mayor here, who is now running for governor, and who I have endorsed as the next governor of the state. Along those lines, he was the first person to write me a letter of commendation when I first tried out for clemency. In any instance, we are in the youth houses now, where we are working with these young brothers. We got gotten in touch with lawyers, and we are having what they call working with them to get around the Wade hearings. The Wade hearings is what allows young brothers throughout the country, 14, 15 years old, to be waived up and tried as adults. In New Jersey, on the first degree, that could mean that you could come in at 15 and leave out damn near 50. Nobody is the same person at 15 that they will be at 45 or 50. So you're throwing away a lot of young black lives. And there's a thing that is called, I think it's called Miller versus Arizona, where it shows that the area of the brain that controls risk taking and executive judgment doesn't mature until a kid is 23. So what we're trying to keep is them for us just throwing away generations of young black kids. We're also working to try and bring back parole in the federal system. While I was in the system, I ran what they said was the largest inmate ran program in the United States in the federal prison system. I did everything in the system but find a cure for cancer, but it never moved the needle. I still had life with no parole plus 50 years. I had some good homies, young homies from out of DC, who routinely going up for parole. Some of them had 3 and 4 bodies. I never went up. And I knew that this was patently unfair, not just to me, but to the countless other brothers in the federal system that had long or extended sentences that never went up. So I was determined to try and change that. That's part of my mission now on the street, is to try and find a way, working with other other brothers like yourselves throughout the country, to try and bring back parole so that they won't have to wait as long as Larry waited or as I waited in order to go up and be heard on the merits. That if we work in collaboration and we work seriously and we get past the petty bickering and fighting for crumbs while they dividing the whole pie up top, then we can make a difference. In fact, we have to, because we can't look to anybody. The man on the white horse doesn't exist, and we are the solution to our own problems. So we have to collaborate. We have to get together. We have to join together like we're talking now. We have to do this more often. We have to do this frequently. And we have to bring, they say that the sum is greater than the weight of its whole, or its parts. We have to bring collaboration in the synergy of working as one unit on whatever our problems is as a people. So I'm glad that Larry's home. I know he's a thought leader. I know he's a leader, not a boss. You know, when you're a boss has to give a command. A leader can give a request. When the boss goes or falls, they say that nigga's broke. He's gone. When a leader falls, they say that's our leader. Larry's been a leader. We have to lift him up. So we have to redefine ourselves, brothers, not as bosses. We ain't written and giving commands. We're bending to our brothers and giving requests. So, I mean, to that end, this is what I'm doing in Newark. I'm hoping that this is a template for other brothers to do it across the country and to empower our communities. Once we stop the violence, then we also have to empower the communities. Where do we go from there? So this is my mission. This is what I'm on. This is what I'm about. Like I said in the past, I showed examples of power. I returned back to my city to show the power of example. So Larry, stay up, man. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your life. Like me, you're probably a great great grandfather. So I'm gonna spend a lot of time with the kids, but I'm also messianic. I'm gonna spend these years trying to make a difference, man. I'm sure that you will too, bro. Stay up, stay safe, man. My name is Akbar Pray, and I'm out.
All right, so that's where we at. Now, Akbar said something real powerful in there when he said that we talking about generation. This is how old Larry Hoover is now today. This is how young he was when he went in, so that you understand what I'm saying. He went from that to that. They have no problem taking your lives away if you violate the laws of this country. And that's why we stress here, do not violate the laws. Live a happy, safe life with your family. That's what we're promoting over here at Unique Mecca Audio. And that's why I bring powerful men up here like Akbar Pray, not Jojo Capone. He spoke on giving each other a hand up. That's Prince from the Supreme Team. The hand up came from Big C from the Supreme Team. This is family. We all together, even though we wasn't, blessed, and y'all would look at it as crazy because you know how the rat bastards and flip-flop being in public trolls carry on. But when I say blessed, I mean just to be in each other's physical, circumference during our prison time to absorb our strength, so that we could go back to separate prisons even stronger with our comrade strength embedded in us. That's what it's like. I wasn't blessed to be on a compound with Akbar Pray, but I heard so many things from people that he's blessed, and then they came with his energy, and his energy rubbed off on me, something like what they call secondhand smoking, for y'all to understand where I'm at. But when we meet each other in person, now that energy goes back to where it's at, and it absorbs the rest and come back. And I feel like a young Akbar Pray, or should I say a elderly, a seasoned Akbar Pray, a seasoned, not a seasoned, but me and Not was on the same compound, a seasoned, Prince Gerald Miller, because we wasn't blessed to be on the compound, but I got a chance to see him and absorb the energy that I've gotten from other people that was around him to get his energy to bring it back to me. I know this is real simple if you fall back and listen, rewind it. But look, Larry Hoover came out older than this, because this picture may be a decade old. But I want you to remember that when he went in, this is what he looked like. So they took all his youth from him, from this to this, and that's what we're trying to prevent right now over here at Unique Mecca Audio. All right, I'm about to tap out. Been on here long enough. I'm gonna let the brother Akbar say his salutes and goodbye, and once again remind you what he's running for and what he stands for, because this is the big homie.
My brothers, I'm going to close it out with this, man. Two things. Until the lion learns to write, all the glory of the hunt will go to the hunter. We have to redefine ourselves. We have to tell our story. We have to tell our history. We have to preserve our history. They are getting rid of critical race theory. They're not teaching it in the schools. They're not teaching the Black history in the schools anymore. We have to do that. We have to get with people. We have to support people that understand our agenda as a people. We have to elect people, and we have to support people that understand our agenda as a people. They say if you don't have a seat at the table, then you're on the menu, you know. So we have to have people that will place us at the table, man, and represent our interests. And like I said, in my case, I'm supporting Ross Baraka to be the next governor, the first African-American governor in the history of the state of New Jersey. I'm supporting Andrea James out of Massachusetts to be the first female, African-American female for governor in the state of Massachusetts. These are the kind of moves that we have to make, homies. It's our responsibility now, man. We're thought leaders, We're people who we are iconic in our communities. We have to leverage our former infamy and use it for good. That's what I'm doing here, and I encourage all of y'all to do the same. All right, stay up, stay safe, man. I'm Akbar Pray, and I'm out.
All right. So I just want to thank him, man. We just try and let y'all get the real over here at Unique Mecca Audio. Everybody express their views. You smart enough to know what it is. I brought very intelligent brothers up here to express their views. So do not dismiss them. Take your time, do the research. They know. These are brothers that I listen to. And that's why I brought them up here for you to hear them and listen to them and try and comprehend where they're coming from. Because like he said, he asked brothers in Buckner, you know, who knew who a sports player was. Everybody knew him. Then he asked who knew a trade line. They didn't even know. And on that note, I'm going to say, follow my daughter, Juanita Mecca Audio. She tells what it was like growing up without her father for 26 years because he was in prison with brothers like this. And I want y'all to hear what it's like from a female's point of view that had to grow up without her father in the house. I say father because I don't believe in daddy. Daddy's just one that just, you know, bust a nut and leave his semen behind. A father is one who furthers one education to the next level. And that's why I introduced my daughter to the YouTube, being that I came home and I found a lane. I'm bringing her in and I'm able to showcase my brothers like Akbar Praise, like JoJo, like Not, like Prince. I could showcase their views like Lou Sims, like Faris, Peter Shue, Kevin Childs, Gangster Lou, you know what I mean? Bootsy, Street Knowledge Podcast, you know, I mean, that's what this channel is about. We're not into the controversy. We don't disrespect anybody. We just say the truth. You might not like it. If you don't like it, respond in the comments, but be respectable. If you respond all crazy, they have a button on YouTube called hide the user. I can hide your comments. Only person would see it is you. So you'll send 1,000 comments thinking that the world is reading it and you're a clown and a comedian because you're nothing more than a rat, bastard, and flip-flop weird in public troll. Just fall back and let the people get the wisdom. Akbar spoke a lot of jewels. JoJo spoke a lot of jewels. Not spoke a lot of jewels. I bring nothing but the best. Let's tap out. All right?
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, make an audio.